everyone, and welcome to another casual review. Today, I'm talking about Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I've never played a Super Monkey Ball game before, maybe only a couple times at a friend's house. That was actually a lie, but not nearly enough to know anything about the series, really. As far as the gameplay goes, this game is essentially you're a monkey inside a ball, and to move around these obstacles, you tilt the whole board itself by using the analog stick. So if I tilt it forward, the whole board is going to be tilting forward, which in then turn is going to roll the monkey and the ball forward. And so you are navigating a multitude of obstacles using this, trying not to fall off the ledge and doing it within the time limit, that being only 1 minute. So from the starting point of the obstacle course, you are trying to make your way to the end goal within 1 minute without falling off the board. This unique direction of gameplay makes some things that would appear simple in a normal platformer rather difficult. One of them being ramps. You can't just go straight forward if it's a steep ramp. You have to build up momentum in order to make it up that ramp, because the board itself can only tilt a certain amount of degrees before stopping. As far as the plot goes, I can't tell you much regarding it. I did play this game, surprisingly, with someone else, that being my brother. This is his game, so we took turns by levels and dying playing through the story mode, and he's the type of person that just doesn't care about the story for this type of thing, and he usually doesn't even have patience to read the rules for games, so we just hopped right in. And so I can't tell you what the story is. I can only tell you the 3 seconds of cutscenes that I would watch in between worlds, and it looks like it's a bunch of monkeys watching a TV show, and you're like playing through the TV show. I'm only guessing here because I wasn't able to watch it. So that's as far as the plot goes. I'm sure that the plot isn't too crazy anyway. It seems like for this type of game, the gameplay is the front runner for entertainment. Now, you are able to choose a character to be rolling around in your ball. At first, we chose the Doctor. And as we are playing through the game, you unlock currency, and you can purchase different characters or different equipment for your character. Now, we quickly found out that we were able to purchase either Sonic or Tails, and so immediately we purchased Tails because why not? And unfortunately, you aren't able to add apparel to Tails and I assume Sonic. And you are also able to purchase a different color of ball that you're rolling around in, and that's not the case for Tails either. So currency became useless to us after we decided to make our main character Tails. There's a lot of different modes, but we just played through the story mode in this game, and that being 10 worlds, and in each world there are 10 levels. And each world has a different background and a different song accompanying it. Sometimes I felt like the background got a little confusing, at least for me. It was hard for me to differentiate something in the distance being a platform that I could go to and it being a background. This is just a minor complaint. As far as the music goes, it is very electronic. I actually kind of liked the music in this game, but my brother wasn't too big of a fan. Also, the music would get quite repetitive, especially if you are stuck on a particular world full of really difficult levels. You're going to be hearing the same song on repeat, and the songs themselves are only about 2 minutes long, so it can get quite repetitive, and it is a breath of fresh air every time you finally do overcome that difficult world and make it to the next world, because it is like different backgrounds and different music. So in short, the music I think was pretty good, but it got quite repetitive. Each of these levels are scattered with bananas, and if you are playing a Sonic character, the bananas convert to rings, which make the ring noise, which is actually kind of cool. Now, I believe these rings slash bananas convert to the currency that you can there buy apparel for. In the original Super Monkey Ball game, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is a combination of the first 3 Super Monkey Ball levels, just kind of like a anniversary, a celebration of those first 3 Super Monkey Ball games. So you're just repeating them just with enhanced graphics, as far as my understanding goes. But in the original Super Monkey Ball games, you had lives, and if you got a game over, you'd have to start the world over, which would absolutely suck because some of these levels are really difficult, and we died died a ton of times on some of these last levels. But as far as this game goes, if you're not interested in the currency, then the bananas kind of become useless. If you are a completionist, each of these levels do have their own challenges as well, as if this game wasn't challenging enough. I'll get more into that in just a second, but certain objectives, there's like 5 different objectives, and they might range from beat it within this amount of time, and then there are different colors of gates in some levels, and some gates are more difficult to reach than others, and it might be like, go get the green gate rather than the blue gate, things like that. We always just went for the easiest gate because, oh man, let me get into the difficulty of these games, because the difficulty ramps up quite significantly, pun intended with a ramp there. The first couple worlds are actually really easy, and we were starting to get quite bored, but suddenly it's like a switch is turned on. It's like toggled from off to on, and the difficulty ramps up so much that it got actually quite frustrating. I want to say so if there's 10 worlds and 10 levels, that's 100 levels that we had to beat through the story mission. And it's like once we got to like the 40th level, that's when things got a lot more difficult. And it took us maybe like an hour or two just to do those first 40 levels. And then to do the last 20 levels took us about, oh man, it might have been like 3 or 4 hours just because we were dying over and over again. So if you're a novice to the Super Monkey Ball genre, you might find this game to be actually quite difficult, and you might be deterred to shoot for some of those more difficult objectives for the levels. The levels themselves vary, actually surprisingly, where they have moving platforms that you have to maneuver around. Sometimes there are switches that you can pause or fast forward to set up your pathway. Sometimes there's like shortcuts that you can take if you fall off the ledge and land on a board that is below you. So there are different ways of approaching these levels depending on what your skill level is at. A lot of these levels even have like an obvious difficult pathway to go towards and an easy pathway. And I imagine some of these might align with the objectives for each level. Now, most of the time when we're playing through, we're going to go down the easy pathway just because we're trying to clear all of these levels rather than challenge ourselves. Whenever you go through a new level, especially some of these earlier levels, instinctively, this game just wants you to go fast, and you want to go fast, and you feel really cool when you are just cruising through this level and you pass through that gate in under like 10 seconds because you're just going for it. Now, in most cases, you are going to have to plan out your strategy, take your time, wait for platforms to move in the right spot, but it is really fun just going for it and actually executing your speed. One of our biggest complaints, both my brother and I, would be this camera, because I felt like we were constantly fighting this camera. It just kind of had a mind of its own. And in most cases, you don't want to touch that right analog stick because it's almost best just to let the automatic camera take control. And we did kind of cruise through the options here, trying to find a better camera option. But it seems like in most cases, just kind of let the camera do its thing. And I don't know if this is the case for all the other Super Monkey Ball games, but this one, it just kind of had a mind of its own, and it was quite frustrating, actually. A lot of our deaths were because of this weird camera that had a mind of its own, and it would cut through a wall, and you couldn't see your own character. It was weird. If you do die a lot, which I almost guarantee that you will, I think after like maybe 3 or 5 deaths, a pop-up will show up and it'll ask you like, hey, do you want to turn on easy mode? We noticed you're sucking pretty hard. We're going to put on a baby mode for you. Is that okay? And this annoyed my brother to no end. And I kind of was a little more leaning towards turning it on some of these later levels. And I actually experimented to see what this easy mode did. And it actually doesn't seem to help out that much. Basically, it gives you a recommended pathway to go through this obstacle course. And it does have a slow motion mode. Now, this also makes you move in slow motion. And I felt like this wasn't that beneficial. In most cases, I could see the intended pathway that I was supposed to go. It was just executing that. And moving the whole game in slow motion didn't seem to aid my playthrough that much. So actually, this did get more and more annoying when it kept automatically asking. Now, there might be a way in the options to turn off it asking us, but it was just kind of funny because every time we moved to a new level and we're clearly doing really bad, and then it would ask us with this little pop-up if we want to turn on easy mode. It was like rubbing salt in the wound. But it was all worth it to see my brother's annoyed reaction to this. Overall, I think that this game has a lot going for it, but it also has a lot of frustrations, especially if you're playing through the later levels of the game. They are really impossible. So if you are good at Super Monkey Ball, I think that you'll have a great time playing this game. But if you struggle wrapping your head around the mechanics of this game and just fighting the camera and everything like that, I think you're in for a rough ride. And I probably, if I was playing this on my own, I probably would have dropped this game before we rolled the credits, but my brother has a completionist attitude to it, so he wanted to see it to the end, which we actually did, and we even skipped through the credits because that's the type of person he is, whereas I would have like reveled in those credits because I finally earned them, but that's just to show the different types of gamers that we are. So yeah, we actually did beat all of the story mode. I think I personally would give this game, I will give it a little bit higher of a score, and I will give it a 3 out of 5, but I kind of was leaning towards a 2 out of 5, and I imagine my brother might have given it a 2 out of 5 if he was giving the score. Maybe he'll put in the comments what his actual score was. So put your score at the bottom in the comments, what you would rate this game, 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. I don't know, maybe you'll give this game a 5 out of 5, but judging from your reactions, I wouldn't imagine that is the case. Well, guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania or the Super Monkey Ball series in general, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I know this series has a ton of fans, so I want to hear from you guys about how much we suck. That's it for me, though. I'll talk to you later. Bye!